All right, guys. Welcome to a brand new episode of Philosophy Culture. Back here again with the big bro Costin.
And I'm here back again with the big bro Emils.
Yeah, and me and Costin are back here again as the previous episode with the big bro Tim, all the way from Germany. How is everybody doing?
Yes, thank you for introducing me. You all know me, I hope.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah,
happy
yeah.
to be here with you guys and looking forward to a nice episode.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are we going to talk about, Costin?
Okay, so this is the second part of the work-life balance, and Tim will tell us more about the subtopics.
Yes, so we have subtopics such as remote work. So, what is positive about this? What is negative about it? Which consequences can it have? We have topic about David Goggins, a hardworking person. Probably all know him. We speak about how to operate in high standard jobs and how to schedule your own work-life balance for us personally also.
For sure, for sure. Hey, check it out. Check it out.
Check it out.
All right, guys. Part two. Part two. All right. We can just kind of pick off where we left off last time, right? So at the end of the last episode, we briefly discussed Costin's hypothesis, which kind of went like that people, or sometimes you need to work, your ass off a certain amount, like a certain period of time, and later on, when you have reached your end goal, so to say, you can kind of relax or create sort of more of a balance, right? And I think Costin can elaborate more on that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think, yeah, like my statement would be like, in order to succeed in your career, you will have to be put in situations where there is no balance, but where you mostly work. So that was my statement from the last time.
Right.
And now my new statement would be working remotely affects your work-life balance negatively. I think we have seen a lot of remote work since the pandemic, and I think it has become like pretty usual nowadays to work from home.
Wait, can you repeat your statement?
Sure. Working remotely has affected
Remote.
your work-life balance negatively.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. So
It's
and
interesting. That's interesting. You say home office, like working remotely,
Yeah.
has negative effects on the work-life balance. So you mean that you work more when you work remotely, right?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
something. Well, work more, sort of, but you're more into your work.
Yeah.
Because you're working from home, so it's easier to check your phone, check your
Yep.
computer in case you get a message or an email, and send some files or do some extra things done. So I don't know what you think about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I can start, Emils, do you want to start or?
You can go ahead, Tim.
Thank you. So it's really interesting topic because I just came back from this internship at BMW where we had almost no home office. So there was the possibility, but I didn't want to take it as a possibility because I just wanted to be there, meet the people. And I kind of can see where your hypothesis leads to. So when I was at work, I was focused on work because I was there, I was driving there. So I wanted to make the best out of it. You know what I mean? To be efficient at this time. And then when I went home, I usually went to coffees with friends of mine, just went swimming in the river or whatever. So yeah, you kind of switch this button and then work is over. And in my first work experiences, it was during COVID. So we had this laptop at home, we had everything at home. We could only work from home. So I definitely see your point because you never switch this button. Okay, now work is over. Sometimes I was just during lunchtime, I did a 3 hours lunch break and then I worked in the evening at 8 p.m. So I think it brings a lot more flexibility, and I'm happy that there is the opportunity to work remotely, the opportunity. But I think if you use it every day or a lot of days in the week, I definitely would support your hypothesis that it, on a long term, kind of makes you sick if you're not the right person for it. Because you
Yeah.
never can switch this button.
I think the last few words were very good, because if you're not the right person for it, and yeah, I completely agree with the last part. So yeah.
Would you say that you're the right person for it or not?
It depends, because I have a hard time to finish if I start something and I'm not, if I don't complete my task, I have a hard time to like finish or
Switch off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I haven't worked from home so many times, but I prefer the office work, because it's I think it's nicer to meet people, have a chit chat, and yeah, it's just something. It sort of divides your time, like that sort of spare time from office, or like how should I put it? I'm having a huge
Yeah. Like work time and your spare time, like
work
your personal.
time, and it's easier to split work time and spare time, so to say.
Yeah.
So that's what I
Absolutely
was
agree.
saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it makes sense. It kind of muddies the waters in terms of where your personal time and your work time kind of ends up, right? Because you have the work is so close to you. So in that case, I think it's really important to set boundaries if you can, right? To I don't know, to maybe set a specific time, or maybe if you are like Costin, where you want to finish your task, that you set like some sort of end goal for the day, right? Maybe it isn't the complete task, but maybe somewhere where you can easily start again next day. So,
I had a friend. He had a really good solutions, because he had basically, he used the same phone for work and for his private life, and he made his girlfriend, or like your wife, to put in some passwords for the work applications, so that like after 5 o'clock he needed this password to enter the application, and he obviously didn't have it because it was his wife that had put it. So yeah, that could be a solution, but yeah.
I mean, usually you also get a separate business phone, I guess. So yeah, I think it's difficult when you have the private phone and business phone as one phone. That's I imagine it really, really difficult. But I think we all agree that probably we are more of the real office guys. But I just have to mention that there is one really, really important point about home office, which makes it pretty attractive, that it exists. So for example, my boss at BMW, for sure he works a lot. There's like 30 people in his team. And sometimes he also has 2 children, and sometimes he drove earlier from work, like 2, 3 p.m. To get up his children, spend some time with them in the afternoon when they are still like energized, spend some time with them, and then he worked again from like probably after dinner from 6:30 or 7 until 9. So this gave him a lot more flexibility and quality time with his children. And also from my own experience, in September, I had a really tough month because my studies started earlier. My university started earlier than it's usual, and I still was in the internship. So I just had to travel a lot with the train and be in different places. and they also said, okay, now you can do it remotely. We understand your problem. So I just worked in the train when it was possible, when the German internet worked. So without that, I would have just lose a lot of time in the train and do nothing. So for me, it's really helpful that it exists in its form. But
Yeah.
you shouldn't overuse it, definitely.
Yeah. I think it depends how you use it, as you said, because I think it gives you a huge amount of flexibility. You had a good example, and it allows you to do your work from multiple locations. So yeah.
But I'm not sure how much we spoke about it last time, but Justin, the one statement that you came up with, the first statement.
Yes.
How was it again? Can you
Yes,
name it?
of course. So my first statement is, in order to succeed in your career, you will be put in situations where there is no balance, but where you mostly work. So basically that you will sometimes have to work more than have free time, and that is to succeed, or in whatever you do.
Yep.
So yeah, that's just a statement.
Emils, you can start.
I agree.
Yeah, me too.
I agree.
I mean, I think it perfectly fits to exactly that point where you are at the moment, Kostin, when you start after university or after your apprenticeship or whatever, you start working, and if you're not fully motivated and also willing to victimize your free time a little bit, then you probably won't achieve as much as you want to achieve. Or maybe you don't have the dream to lead to lead a department or whatever. If you're happy with a normal job as a how can I say it, as a normal guy in a company, that's fully all right. But I think as a person, and I assume that we are kind of these persons who want to achieve something more than usual, then I think it's impossible to not have times where you just have to victimize some free time.
That's a good word.
Do the uncomfortable stuff and do more than needed from you, like that the people see that you are willing to do the stuff.
No, and I completely agree, and I think that there will be a certain period where you will have to put in some extra work just to learn and develop as much as possible, so that you could actually start competing with others in whatever you do, whether if it's like starting a business or in your company or whatever. And yeah, maybe it sounded wrong, like competing with others, but like when you think about it, there will always be like other people, other companies, and so on. So yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Emils, I see you thinking.
Yeah, no, like my head goes back to the quiet quitting now, actually, because I think it really matters what kind of job it is. Like if the field is worth, or can like if the field that you work in can provide you with the opportunities, I think that's that matters sometimes, or a lot of times, I think.
Yeah,
Depending on
isn't quiet quitting especially the case when you don't have a lot to do in your job and you're not really needed and you don't feel like you're needed, and then you just do what's left for you. You just do the necessary stuff, which is not a lot, and otherwise you don't do anything more, and that's like you already quit in your mind. It's like what I heard from quiet quitting.
Right,
You're not really
like
necessary for the company.
that isn't really like exactly my interpretation of the term,
What is your interpretation?
For me, it would more so mean like whatever job you are doing like just like we said the last time, just barely enough or just enough to not get fired, right? You don't do anything extra and like yeah.
Yeah, okay, then I agree. Yeah. Exactly. Do nothing extra. Just do the necessary stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
not,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, I agree.
That you don't like pay attention to the details, maybe some that your coworkers wouldn't maybe notice that you didn't do, and then like small stuff like that. Because at my work, I have like my coworkers, which a lot of times like really wait for just for the end of their shift, right? They're like standing where you check out, where you clock out. They wait like for the last minute to go, that they can like sign off.
Yeah.
I don't know if they are quite quitters per se, but I kind of see it as such in a way.
Yeah. Like when I watched this one documentary about quiet quitting, I think it was 2 years ago when the first documentary in Germany came out. It was about one guy who, or I think it was a woman, who just worked in the city municipality or whatever. So she's like a state-owned, state-paid person. So she has a really safe job. She will probably never get fired when she doesn't do the bullshittiest thing ever.
Right.
And she said, yeah, she's safe. She doesn't have a lot to do, but she still gets paid quite okay. So she just does what's needed, or she did what's needed for the last 10, 15 years, but nothing more. And actually that made her depressed because it led kind of to a bore out. It kind of led to a bore out. Have you heard from a bore out? There is burnout and bore out, and bore out is when you have a lot to do, or you really have just in 8 hours of work, you just have efficiently 2 to 3 hours of work to do. The rest of the time, you just do stupid stuff because you want to, kind of still fulfill the 8 hours.
Yeah.
And this leads to a bore out. And there is really like the people get depressed.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point, because that is one of the reasons why I think working in the field where there is a place for development for reaching some higher heights, so to say, is important. Because if you work at a job and you where there isn't much to learn, and you work that job for like whatever, I don't know, a few years, I think some people would go crazy because if there isn't like anything to learn, you can develop as a human being. It hurts the soul, so to say.
And maybe you know it from yourselves. Like, to be honest, I can confirm it. I had some times in my life where I also had things to do which were not really, it was not a lot. And if I would have concentrated on it, I would have done it in some weeks. But I spent months on it, and it was like a spiral where it gets worse and worse, where you just spend even more time on your cell phone, more and more, and you always find something to distract from just what you have to do, to flick it and do the next thing. And it really is, I think it's dangerous. I think it's a dangerous problem we have in this world.
Well, I think it's I think the right term is procrastination, right?
That's definitely a part of it. Definitely a part of it. Like, procrastination is one part of this whole process. Yeah. It's the beginning, probably. You procrastinate always, then you distract yourself with other things. Then you need more time for things which could be done way faster. And in the end, you just spend time on stupid stuff, and but you still think you work the whole time. It's strange. Like, it is strange. It takes energy from you to do nothing.
Yeah.
So I would rather have a burnout than a bore out, to be honest. I would rather have a burnout because then I could still put me hit my shoulders, we say in
Yeah.
Germany.
Right. Pat you on the back.
Yeah, exactly. And say, okay, I did a lot of stuff. Yeah, it burned me out. I probably need some weeks and months to get back on track, but I did something. And if you have a burnout, you're at the same level as if you have a burnout, but you did nothing or almost nothing.
Yeah.
How sad must this be? So should
That would be
be
a really nice t-shirt.
it should
Burnout.
be a goal to avoid this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's true, and I think it also affects your sort of, like if you have a lot to do, it gives you some sort of purpose in what you do, and some kind of motivation that I have these tasks that I need to fulfill. What do I do? Problem solving and other. Yeah, you need some other skills. But when you're
structuring, prioritizing.
Yeah, and that too. But when you're just bored and doing the same thing every day, all day, it's kind of
Yeah. I think what we didn't mention yet is I think we all agree having more to do is better than having almost nothing to do. But what I found out, or what is really helpful, is just to take some days off sometimes. So you can have days with full workload, bam, bam, bam. But then I think you have to take your fucking days off. Otherwise, also your productivity suffers. I think you're way more productive if you have some complete breaks in between. Or if it's 2 days or if it's 1 week, doesn't matter. But this is probably really important, and I think almost all the CEOs and big politicians in the world would agree that they need this certain time off. Otherwise, it's also about creativity. When you have everything to do all the time, at least for me, it's the case. When I have a lot to do, I can't think about other things than what I have to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think switch of focus would also fit in there. Just to take a break or just do something else and then get back to the issue and then try to solve it again. And sometimes it's just that you miss a very common detail or something very basic that is completely messing up everything.
Absolutely. It's a really good point. So I think everybody who's like has a hustler mindset, but then says, to be honest, that's also what is a bit annoying about David Goggins, that he says there are no days off. I mean, I love David Goggins and I understand his point, but when you really think about it, also with working out and stuff like this, I mean, you have to take days off. I mean, I know what he means with routine and stuff like that, but how he says it implies that you have to make the same amount of work every day. And I think in reality it does work. It sounds good, but it doesn't work.
For most people, I would say, because I think there are certain, like a really, really small percentage of people who are like him. That are like borderline crazy.
Yeah. But what I then think about is if these people would sometimes take 1 or 2 days off, maybe it would be possible for them to be even more successful. You know what I mean? For example, David Goggins, he still is not a multimillionaire. Maybe he could be when he had more days off thinking about his marketing of himself,
Well, I think he is.
Think? Okay.
Yeah, because like he has like a few popular books now that have.
Okay.
But I know what you mean.
Okay. Yeah, but I still love David Goggins and I appreciate it. But in this point, it's not my opinion.
Right, but like I think maybe you are missing one thing, which is some people's careers like is their life. that's all they want to do. Like if kind of what we mentioned last time, with the work feeling like play. If you are working on your, or if you on your spare time are doing the same thing as you are doing when you are working, then like it's,
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I know what you
but
mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Probably
like
this counts for some people, yeah.
yeah, a really small percentage, I think. Yeah,
Yeah. But also, maybe,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Who was talking?
No, I was
Me?
talking.
Okay.
I was just gonna go back to David Goggins, but it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, go back to David Goggins. Go back.
No, but the thing is that if you're a pro athlete, because I see more as a pro athlete, than a sort of businessman, sort of ish. I think he's both actually. But I think when it comes to a certain level, you will have to think like if your career is your life and your career is basically, running marathons and keeping your body in shape. I think you should have that balance again between food, rest, and training.
Yeah.
So I think that's the same with football, with professional footballers, basketball players, and so on. However, I still think that you need this period of time, and especially when you're young, that you really need to focus on developing certain skills and becoming sharper in certain, I don't know, situations or moments, and yeah, just getting ahead of your competition, sort of. But I still think that eventually, as a pro athlete, you will have to think about rest as well, because you're basically tearing your body apart, if you want to call it that way, like in an extreme way when you're training, right? So okay, now I'm completely off topic.
No, you're good.
But it's like, yeah. So if it would be your life, I still think you would have to think about how you could continue living that life, because I think he mentioned in his podcast that he has, I don't know how many, what do you call it,
fractures,
fractures, or like injuries and so on. So yeah, I don't know.
Right, but like so you would say I don't know, like when you mentioned the athletes, I didn't really hear the balance part of it, or like maybe if that was your point, I don't know, but like you said you still have to have balance between working, like, which for athletes entails working out, right, getting better at their craft, eating and sleeping.
Yeah, or
But
like
but like all those three things go together, right? They for me it would be kind of considered as work-ish, because they all benefit each other.
Yeah. If you see it from that, yeah, sure, yeah, that would be work, yeah.
But then you also have to include the resting part. I think that was what Kostin was mentioning, right? Like that.
Yeah.
Maybe in the case of, I mean, we probably don't know how David Goggins' body, in which kind of form it is, but I think for probably a lot of bodies are completely difficult. The same counts for the minds of the people. So some people can't take more workload. Some can't, just have to take more breaks. That's for sure. But I think, isn't it like everybody needs at least a certain amount of rest to be more productive?
Well, for sure, yeah. Rest is essential to every human, I would say. For sure. But I think we can still continue with David Goggins, actually, because I have one more thing I wanted to bring up, because I think he's such a interesting case study, so to say, or a person to analyze. And the thing I wanted to bring up is the thing that the fact that he's so crazy, I think also reflects another aspect of work-life balance in a way, because I think one of the reasons why he is so yeah, crazy, for the lack of better words, is because he has had a lot of trauma, right? I think a lot of his working out has to do with,
Mm.
I don't know if it is exactly, but I think it is that he's like battling like with his internal demons, right? Because he has had a really traumatic upbringing. He was obese, really obese.
Mm.
I think kind of also keeps his mental state in check, and I think that also goes for other forms of work, right? Also in business, and that would be my comment. Or
Mm. Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, because I think that previous, or like drama you had in your childhood, and so on. There is a famous artist that is from Romania, and his biggest fear is to becoming poor, and he's just living like, even though he has like a good amount of money, and he's like, really, really like in a good position
yeah,
financially.
well off, yeah.
He's still like, he has that thought sort of running in his mind all the time, and that makes him, work even harder and harder,
Yeah,
accomplishing more things.
yeah,
So I think like
Sorry,
previous, yeah.
what does he want? He wants to be important on, or what is his goal?
Oh, no. He's doing his stuff. He's just an artist, so he's just, he has multiple goals and different businesses that he's into.
Ah, okay, because
Yeah.
I understood something wrong. I thought you said that he has like one drive, and this drive is to be important or something like that.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah,
no, no,
okay.
like I think Carsten's main point was that the artist's motivation was like this fear-based motivation. I
Okay,
listened
okay.
to Andrew Huberman, so a fear-based motivation, uh, which stems from the fear of being poor.
Yeah.
Because
Ah, okay. Being poor. Okay, all right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he wants to keep going. So he has this
Yeah.
like fear he tries to run from. That was kind of my interpretation.
Yeah,
Ah,
exactly.
I think I mixed up poor with important. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Happens.
Interesting. Yeah. I think that's like childhood probably has a lot of influence on your later drive. So probably it's how you use it, where you have like traumatized, like David Goggins, for example. You can use it in his way, or you can just lean back and say, I always can be the victim because I had a traumatized childhood. That's the danger of it. And if you have a great childhood, you can just try to make exactly like continue with your way. But a lot of people then they are so privileged that it's what we discussed last time. They're so privileged that they don't see how what their parents and the parents of the parents achieved. They are just leaning on it and do nothing about it anymore. So
Yeah.
used in a bad way or a good way.
But there's also another danger aspect to it, which is the other side of the spectrum, so to say, which is where you don't, where you just keep going and going and going, and you don't, and you kind of miss out on the important stuff as families and and those kind of things, which you
Sure.
maybe end up regretting at the end of your life, even though you are already really well off in your when you are much younger, but you keep going, but you keep on going, and yeah, I think that's a huge mistake that I would say many do when you look at like successful people. So it's
Yeah,
important to
okay.
again to have like a some kind of boundary, or some kind of you know when my when I have such and such when how can you say this? Like when my net worth is like I don't know, 50 million or whatever. It's
Yeah.
I'm done right there or whatever. I think everybody should have a goal because chasing money is kind of a endless pursuit.
Mm.
To be honest.
Absolutely. I'm just asking myself if this the question or the statement you said, like we should not just run, but care about family and other stuff. If this is also something we achieved because of our ancients, of our people lived before, you know. That's what I'm asking myself. Like I'm thinking about the life of my grandparents, and when I think about it, they probably never said, "Ah, fuck, I'm missing out on something," because they just had to do what they had to do. You know what I mean? And now everybody has this fear of missing out because there's so many opportunities. Everything is kind of in order, and everybody wants to take what's possible for them in life. And I think it's still a privileged discussion, to be honest. It's still not normal. Like we can have this discussion, and we should have it. It's nice, but I think it's still not. Yeah, probably know what I mean.
I actually don't.
Okay.
Because like yeah, I don't know. Can you like repeat your point?
Yeah. Okay. So you said when you, for example, business wise, you just run, and then after some years, after you're 60 or 70, you probably say to yourself, ah, shit, I should have spent more time on this. I should have spent more time on that, on family, on vacation, or whatever. That was a point you made earlier, right?
Not exactly, but okay.
Okay, but I understood it like that. Let's
Yeah.
keep it as a point.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And I mean, it is a point which is widely discussed. So I also have kind of the opinion probably on it. Like I agree that you should not only run, but also spend time for other things, definitely. But then I thought about if this is such a basic question, but for me, it's still something which only privileged people can discuss. That's what I wanted to say. Like the fear of later saying, ah, I missed out on certain things, for me is still a privileged decision, a privileged discussion. Because when I think back on my grandparents, on their parents and whatever, they just had to do what has to be done in life. So they didn't had the urge to ask themselves, oh, I missed out on something later in life. And I never heard them saying something like that. They are now 80, 85, and they never said, ah, shit, I should have spent more time on that, They always say, oh, I'm so happy that I could be able to experience that. So it's a different kind of viewing something. Like our grandparents view something as they view something, like they view an experience as an add-on. And I think our generation, at least in Europe, probably in the US, we have all the alternatives, and then we view the alternatives and say, ah, fuck, we missed this. Not like our grandparents, ah, nice, this was a nice add-on, but we say, ah, fuck, we missed something. You know what I mean? That's what I meant.
So it's
That's
like not being grateful-ish for what you have.
Not being grateful, yeah, that's one point. But maybe you can't even be grateful because, like, yeah, that's exactly the point. But probably it's really difficult to be grateful in our generation with all the demands and stuff like that. It's really difficult to be grateful because you don't even have the dimension anymore, I guess. But do you mean what I meant with like this comparison?
kind of, but I think you kind of missed my point as well, because I was solely focusing on family, stuff that usually truly matters, not like some other opportunities here and there. So my point was kind of almost strictly about family, because I think that's one of the biggest events of anybody's life.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So if you just keep chasing this fleeting goal of having all the money in the world, then I think that's a mistake, because
Okay.
a lot of other successful people have like also regretted that they have like only focused on their company and stuff like that. Like if we listen to some podcasts about successful people. So yeah, that was kind of my point.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I see the point when it comes to family. This is a different discussion than what I meant. I more like meant all the alternatives you have in life, but family and friends are probably something which you have to put in a different order. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So that
I
yeah.
mean, sorry, earlier in life, when I compare it again to all the times, I think all the people probably lived in the neighborhood. They lived in the same house, probably like the whole family lived in one house, or at least the friends were neighbors. That's why they just were all the time together. And even though they had to do a lot of stuff, like not only working but also doing everything at the house and doing everything by themselves, but they were so close to had themselves all the time, and now we don't have it, and we have to take time off to meet friends, to meet family. So yeah, it takes more time to spend time with family and friends than earlier these days. That's I think an important point to mention, that we have to take more time off to meet with friends and family than earlier times.
Yeah, that's a good perspective also.
Yeah, and you should take this time off because otherwise you will regret it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of the other end of the spectrum, about the artist that Carsten was mentioning, that you shouldn't like only chase money, that you should also be aware, because maybe the previous generations, which you mentioned, Tim, maybe didn't have the perspective of being able to look back on other lives.
Yep.
Maybe in which we have now. So yeah, it's kind of my comments.
But then again, if I can come up with a question, that would be how would you balance life? How would you balance work life? Yeah, how would you make the work-life balance work if your work or your career is your life, and besides that you also have a private life? Do you understand what I mean?
Like how we personally would organize it, or
yeah, how would you make it work in that case? That's just a broad question. I'm not saying that there is a specific way to do it, just to discuss.
Yeah. Okay, one last question to this. How would we make it work in our current situation, or
no, just general.
General.
Just generally. So let's say that a person, his life is to I don't know, his company is his life basically, and his career and everything. But besides that, he also has a sort of family.
Okay.
Example. How or like what should that person think, or what would be the most important points to think of?
Probably, Emils, if you want to start.
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Probably it would make sense to each day, or at least each second day, to have a strict scheduled time with family, quality time, at a time where everybody is at home. So, for example, always to dinner time, you're there, definitely, no matter what. Only if the company burns down or something like that. But otherwise, you have to be there at dinner. Like everybody in work knows, okay, Emils said in the beginning he will always be there at 6 p.m. to eat with his family. We respect that. So we will give him work at another time. I think that would be an important point, and you always have like this fixed time with your family. And for me, it probably will also be really important to meet some friends. So I just have to schedule in like in some weeks before with friends. Okay, let's meet on Sunday this time. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
like schedule it as it would be part of your work. Like put it on a calendar and stuff like that. I think it can't work spontaneously for sometimes. We speak about times when you have a lot to do, so probably you have to schedule it a bit more. Yeah, but to be honest, I think I'm not aiming for a life where it's always like that. I want to have times, or I am completely like how's it called? I can live with that when there are times who are like that, where you really have to schedule your time with family and friends, but it shouldn't be always like that for me. That would be my approach. Emils, what do you say?
Yeah, well, again, it kind of depends on what the person's priorities are, right? How big he wants to make the company, or what kind of priorities he has, right? What kind of values he has. But if he values his family, then I completely agree with what you said, Tim. Schedule the times that you spend with family, like structure it. Yeah. But if you wanna go towards the extreme end of the spectrum, maybe just go more into work, I guess.
So
And which will result probably in not as beautiful relationships with your family members, as we have seen with other founders that me and Carsten have discussed on the podcast. So yeah, everything depends on the values.
maybe something to add. Sorry, but I have some more thing. So I have this one example, friend of mine. Her father has a business, and in her childhood he worked a lot, and still works a lot, a little bit less than the last years. But she also said she's not really happy, or nobody was really happy with it, that he sometimes just arrived after 3 days in Munich. He arrived and directly went to the laptop and did other stuff. Sometimes she went home from parties. It was 12, and he was still laying at the balcony and working. I mean, it's not the worst place to work, but still. But he also always had a vacation with his family. What first priority for him? So, yeah. But still, she said wasn't the best from her father, but she respects it. And the whole family respects it. The family is also still close with each other. But yeah, it was a big burden for everybody, for sure. That's probably one of the extreme specters. How it can happen, but it still can work out. And now they still good with each other, you know? The company runs good, the family works, but it's was not easy for times.
Right.
Yeah, I think that besides knowing that you're a full-time employee, or that you're a full-time entrepreneur, you're also a full-time husband, brother, and whatever you are. So yeah, I think it comes down to priorities, commitment, and discipline as well. So, yeah.
Yep.
And it's really hard. I think it's really hard to come up with a whole to-do list. Like, this is the steps you have to take to be able to balance it off completely. Well.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
Probably in the end. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
Probably in the end, it really depends on the situation, and it's like having a job. You, after experience, you kind of balance it out in your way, and you will see how it works or how it not works.
Yeah.
as you operate with a startup. You know, you try out things until you get the right product and the right customer to it. And it's probably the same as with work-life balance. Try out, and go back, evaluate again, and then probably it will be like that later, that you have your business phone and your private phone, you have it on the whole time, that you see what happens, but then you can prioritize, okay, I don't have to answer this message, but I have to call back on this. So probably when you have a high standard job, it works like that. Prioritizing the whole time.
Yeah.
But you earn a lot of money for that, so that's the price. And nobody sees that in the normal life. They always say, these people, they earn 30 times more than normal workers, but they have a completely different life. That's not seen by a lot of people. Like I don't want to be in a position like a global leader or a politician at the highest top. Like I want to be there for sure, but not now, because I think it's not comparable to anything else.
Tim wants to go on dates, I see.
This pressure, I think it's worth it, to be honest, to earn that much money. That's just we say Schmerzensgeld in Germany. It's like
I completely agree.
Hurt.
Yeah. Completely. All right.
Do you have anything to add?
I don't have any more statements or hypotheses or anything, so I don't know if you, Emils, or Tim, you have anything.
I'm a empty bucket, so I don't have anything. Yeah.
So massive thank you guys for listening to today's episode of Philosophy Culture, and massive thank you to you guys, to Emils and Tim, for being here.
Thank you too.
And a special thank you to Tim for taking his time and joining our episode today. So do you have any final thoughts, Tim?
Yeah, to be honest, it was a really nice talk today. I feel kind of confirmed with my view, which I had before, but it's also brought me a lot of new perspectives today. The David Goggins example was really nice, was really important to name it. And also how to schedule your own personal life with work-life balance, because you can hustle your ass off, but you also have to care about other things. So it's important. It will affect us all the time.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, guys. Comment down below what you think about this episode. Maybe have some thoughts that we didn't think of, and subscribe so that you can hear more of the handsome guy Tim. Until next time.
Adios.
Thank you guys.